I think we're ready to start whenever you are, Donna.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome to this beautiful morning here at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Niagara. Let us start with the chalice lighting. Someone's going to light that for us. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of Freedom. And our opening words this morning come to us from Sherry Woodbury. Whether by habit or out of need, whether in body or through cyberspace, you entered this sanctuary, light shining sky inside, open space for hearts and minds. There is no separation here of the sacred from the profane, no setting apart from the natural world, for nothing can be more precious than the ordinary beauty of fall, or the stirrings of the human spirit. Let us bring then our holy hearts and our sacred pieces of ourselves into this place of ritual and song. Let us once more commingle the elements of heaven and earth in this shrine of interconnection. Come, let us worship together. And we will start with the hymn, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time, number 350.
No. Okay, I had it backwards.
The ceaseless flow of endless time,
One can
check or stay, will view the past with
regret or
future with dismay. The present slips into the past, breaking of tomorrow begins anew today. Past and future ever meet, eternal now, to make each day a shall be our new. And our responsive reading this morning is written in your order of service. It is called In Troubled Times. From the loneliness of troubled times we come. Into the dwelling place of togetherness we come. From fear that all is lost we come. Into the comfort of each other's arms we come. From darkness we come. Into the refuge of fading dreams we come. From despair that walks alone we come. Into the dwelling place of generations we come to pledge allegiance to being peace and doing justice. And this morning, I believe Marge is going to speak to us for a few minutes on her experience in joining the church.
Looks like I have a lot of things to say, but I don't. It's just a page. Thank you for asking me to give a brief talk about why I joined First UU. I was a longtime member of the First Presbyterian Church in Kenmore, New York, with my family. We were members for years, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. My brother and I went to church more often than my parents, except for special holidays. Dad was hard of hearing, very hard of hearing. With a church program in hand, as he rolled the program back and forth, people in front of him would scowl and look upset with his disturbance. And I was furious because I thought a church shouldn't be that judgmental. That was the last time I attended. When I was hired as teacher of social studies in Niagara Falls, that was a dream come true since I loved the natural beauty of Niagara Falls and always bugged my parents to go. I came to church for the first time with my friend Christine. The church was packed. The minister was Rudy Gelsey. Remember that? I attended services sparingly then so I could see my parents on Sundays. Jane Harrington, remember the name? Was a colleague at Niagara Falls High School on Pine Avenue and a longtime church member. One day she said to me, with her finger pointing directly at me in my stomach, she said, "Marge Gillis, you've been here for years. Why haven't you joined this church?" Well, I responded, nobody ever asked me. So I assumed I was a member. Well, of course, I officially joined and have been an active member since then. My own hearing loss made it hard to hear the sermons and still does today, but I know people have tried really hard to work on that to help me. I inherited my father's hearing loss. One of our members, Jeanette McKenna, had no natural hearing at all. Peter Diation found a loop system that allowed us all to hear, sometimes for the first time that we were ever here. It was a wonderful thing that he did. And then he started a subgroup called the Fix-Its, and they made this 100-year-old building function and continue to do so. So years later, many members work hard to make this church a better place. A lot of you have made it a better place. Years later, you are my forever friends. I am never alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Marge. That was great. Wonderful to hear some of the old stories. And we're all having trouble with our hearing these days, it seems. We will move on now to joys and sorrows. The ritual of joys and concerns is an invitation to hold each other in our hearts. We invite you to share what has given you joy this week and what may have made your heart heavy. So would you please come up and pick up the microphone and come and light a candle for your joy or concern as you share with us. Do we have someone who would like to start us off?
Thank you. Make sure I have my candle at the ready here. It should be on. We good? I think I can hear myself.
I can hear Bill.
That's me. So anyway, just wanted to say thank you. Everybody has been so kind and supportive as I'm back from this heart surgery. It's been about 30 days now, and so I'm up and around, doing pretty good. And it's a big chunk of this is the help from the Dietitians. They directed me to the surgeon that Betsy had, who was a genius. And he had a technique for doing this that made the procedure a whole lot less painful. that he and a handful of others developed. And as a result, the healing is much quicker, much better, less complex. I'm very lucky. If it weren't for Peter got on the phone with Patty and read her all the business card information from this surgeon, Peter Knight, and we got in touch with him in Rochester, and he was fantastic. Everybody in Rochester was fantastic. It's strong. So just like Peter said they would be. And so anyway, there aren't enough thank yous available because everybody was so darn nice. They're texting Patty and emailing and calling and asking, and the support is just, it gives you such a lift to know that you've got all your church family behind you. And it just, wow, you know, what a boost. So anyway, thank you, and I'm going to light this candle. Anybody else?
So I retired on April 1st, and I'm no longer anybody's boss, but yesterday I got flowers from my former employees saying that I was their favorite boss, and it was very nice.
I noticed this article in the paper the other day. It's honoring two people that we know about at this church. One is a former Holocaust survivor, Nadja Helen Bohak Graka, and our own Shelley Baxter Collins. They are receiving a YWCA Inspiration Award on behalf of the First UU Church of Niagara, by the way. So I'll show you the article downstairs. You know, congratulations to both. They're both smiling, which is a really good thing. They have helped each other. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. Nadja is now 99 years old and counting, and she's been well taken care of by Shelley. So I'll light a candle for both of those.
Another great story.
I just wanted to say how wonderful, Marge, that you facilitated that, because I totally agree. It's just such a wonderful story. And to bring that, a wonderful example of how we can connect and help one another and really change lives, and even at the end of one's life. And I think it's inspirational. And I also just wanted to say that, Bill, I really appreciate your kind words, but I wanted to light a candle for joy of having the two of you back with us. And after such a successful operation, it was such a difficult anticipation over years now, I think, about getting this sorted out. And it's a joyful morning to see the two of you sitting here.
Do we have any other joys and concerns? I would like to say, Peter Knight is brilliant. He did Cal's valve surgery, and I always wished that we'd gone back to him when things started to go south instead of sticking with the people in Buffalo. He's so good. So if no one else has another joy or concern, maybe someone could light a candle for the unspoken joys and concerns. These are always maybe not spoken, but nevertheless, they are very real to us. And we will move on to the offertory. The offering that we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people who are obviously very important to us. It is as much a ritual as singing together or lighting our chalice or reciting our unison affirmation or doing our joys and concerns. It is a reminder of that form of love that we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. Spirit of light, come unto me, sing in my heart, word of compassion. As in the sea, in the hand, life, the shape of justice. Oh, that victory, spirit of love, come to me, come to me. Our meditation reading this morning is called A Faith of Holy Cartographers, and it was written by Teresa Honey Youngblood. In order to travel the great way together, we have to cultivate a sense of belonging that isn't conditional upon conformity. I don't want a smoothed out, disproportionately aggrandized faith that attempts to draw all corners to its one self-righteous place at the top of the map of humanity, leaving the messiness of their upbringings and lived realities behind them. Instead, I want an imaginative and wandering faith of holy cartographers, eager encounterers who pay exquisite attention to the terrain and to the systemic forces that shape it. Leaders who meet people where they are, approach them with curiosity, hold tightly to their own individual stories, and are willing to be surprised and delighted and moved by what they discover in the treasure trove of another. This cannot happen with assimilation. It has to be transformation. We all have to be aiming for transformation, to be willing to be guided, not by positions and placeholders, but by principles held in covenant, and to which any one of loving intention can guide us back. The old top-heavy map simply cannot get us there. Could we teach one another how to do this? Could we make the foundation of our faith development learning how to inhabit an open and curious presence by firmly rooting in our own mutual belovedness as it is so beautifully articulated in the universalist half of our heritage? I want us to heal one another through our fiercely compassionate presence so that we can chart a different path as a matter of lived theology, so that we can caringly release the old one-directional paths that aren't broad enough for all of us to accompany one another. I think this degree of spiritual security and resiliency could be what gets us there, what frees our souls to encounter the sacred terrain of one another's experiences. What we discover and share could be our new map, more complete and truer than the one we were handed and that we didn't know we could leave behind. This could be how we grow our new way together. And let's have a moment of silence before we start with the sermon. A few weeks ago, I went to an Ayurveda workshop at the yoga studio that I go to here in Cleveland. I didn't know a lot about Ayurveda going into it, other than the fact that it's a 3,000-year-old holistic system of medicine from India. I came away with an introduction to the dosas, which means life forces. The concept that when we allow our bodies to become imbalanced, disease and illness creep into the space left by the imbalance, and the inspiration to buy a tongue scraper on Amazon. I readily agreed with the Ayurvedic idea that everything in the universe is connected, and that stress and lack of harmony in life are harmful to your health. Like most Ayurvedic practitioners, I do yoga and meditate, although probably not as much as I should. I would love to be even more Ayurvedic and have more massage therapy in my life, but that's a little bit pricey, so I'll have to make do with what I get, which is once in a while. But for me, the most realistic takeaway from the workshop was how good it is for we human beings to incorporate routine into our lives. I suppose if I look back on my life, I have always had routines. Although when I was raising children, it was difficult to maintain them because there's no doubt that children bring a certain amount of chaos to life. But nowadays, well, frankly, routine has become so much a part of my day that I fear I'm becoming an old fart. All I have to do to confirm that I've become inured in my routines is to look at my border collie, Stony. Border collies love routine, and they are quick to figure out their owner's routines. From the moment we put our feet in our slippers first thing in the morning until we turn the lights off at night. Stony knows by what pair of shoes I take out of the closet whether we're going for our usual morning walk or not. She knows exactly when it's 4 o'clock, which is dinner time for her, And she knows that if I'm dressing up and putting on makeup, she's probably going to be staying home. Focusing on routine reminded me when I was in Kenya a couple of years ago, you couldn't help but notice the routines that the so-called wild animals kept. If you want to see a leopard, you've got to be up and get out early. The lion prides are always caught napping in the afternoons, and zebras form long, almost single lines to go back to where they spend the night when the sun starts to go down. It turns out that wild animals are just as inured as in their routines as we old farts. The best reassurance that I gained from Ayurveda is that all of these routines that I have are actually valuable. They keep me balanced and closer to the natural world. In addition to routine, though, we all do need a little randomness in our lives. A few doses of serendipity every now and again add a little spice to the chili bowl of life. Sometimes it's difficult to keep adding that dash of spice. We live in our own little bubble worlds, and as fall and winter approach, our bubbles tend to get a little smaller. When the weather gets bad, the days grow short and the nights long, we tend to cocoon. If we become ill or we are aging, it's more of a challenge to get out and experience some new things. We fall into our routines, and our routines drive our lives. Max Hawkins, a techie who works for Google in San Francisco, was interviewed on NPR's Morning Edition about this thing a few years ago. Max lived what seemed to be a perfect, balanced life. He drank Seattle's best coffee, biked to work, ate Google's free lunches, had a lot of friends, and was invited to a lot of happy hours. But he felt that something was missing. He said, I just started thinking about these loops we get into and about how the structure of your life completely determines what happens in it. It was like I was reading a story I'd read before or playing out somebody else's script. So what did Max do? Well, he was a techie, so he wrote an app to help randomize his life. At first, the app just gave Uber a call, and instead of having Max choose the drop-off site, the app did it. Then he built the app up to use Facebook to find public events near him, and the app chose which events Max would go to. It was a little nerve-wracking at first. I mean, I couldn't do what Max was doing. He was crashing events where he didn't know a soul. What if people didn't let him in? But in general, Max found people to be very welcoming. He had expanded his bubble. Before long, he went global, letting the app choose where he would travel and what he would do when he arrived at his destination. Max's eyes were opened literally to a whole new world outside of his bubble. Now, I like to do events and I like to travel, but I can't be quite as bold as Max. My dash of randomness is going to a party put on by my yoga community and getting to know a few more people that way, or venturing out to see a social justice movie at the church on a Saturday night. When we look at what goes on in the greater world, we might actually feel there's a bit too much randomness and serendipity at work. Joanna Macy, an eco-philosopher, and Chris Johnstone, a physician and coach, have written a book called Active Hope: How to Face the Mess We're In with Unexpected Resilience and Creative Power. Book groups and study action circles have formed around their ideas, and churches like the one I go to in Cleveland are using the book to discuss how they can incorporate feelings about the chaos in the world and still be hopeful for the future while respecting our animal need for routine. Macy and Johnson say that since 2020, which started with an extensive wildfire in Australia and ended with a global pandemic, talk about getting ground down by routine, our world has been experiencing what economist David Korten calls the Great Unraveling. Climate change, extreme inequality, the pandemic, warfare, politics. There's no denying it does look like Mother Earth and our social fabric are more than fraying at the edges. They are in danger of becoming more holy than, say, the Vatican. And our response? Well, it can be to retreat to our bubbles and routines, which would certainly be the most comfortable thing for us to do. But that's not what's going to help us right now. Have any of you watched the Netflix documentary series on Bill Gates? There's actually 2 of them, both pretty good. From AI to climate change and income inequality, this documentary shows that many great minds are working on the problems at the root of the great unraveling. And many great minds agree there has to be movement toward caring for and promoting the common good. And that movement takes community. Macy and Johnstone write that the extreme individualism of our culture is hurting us at 3 levels: personal well-being, community well-being, and planetary well-being. That said, this is a critical moment for us UUs because we have basic communities in place offering people a spot to practice routines that they so treasure, and we offer opportunities to spice up their lives in the form of social justice causes that address many different aspects of the chaos beyond the great unraveling. In his book, Everything Belongs, Richard Rohr tells us, spirituality is about seeing. It is not about earning or achieving. It's about relationship rather than results or requirements. Some days we don't want to look at the problems, the chaos. But to practice our spirituality, we have to. And then, what does he mean by relationship rather than results? What does that mean to our spirituality in today's world? Buddhists talk about aspiring for a beginner's mind. This means letting go of your routine, logical thought patterns, and opening yourself to a broader, more contemplative mind. We challenge ourselves to go forward through this unraveling world with more Zen. We break out of our bubbles and randomize our lives a little with the goal of improving the social condition. To have a beginner's mind, Buddhists say, you need to cast aside your world-weary attitudes, break down the barriers you've built up, and look at the world with fresh eyes. You need to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be, once again, like a child. Max Hawkins took a lot of risks when he randomized his life. Big risks that he would be rejected by people, not just in his own country, but worldwide. What he found were people who welcomed him with open arms. Even one day when he went to the house of someone he had never met and who didn't know he was coming for Christmas. Donald Trump has been described as having the outlook that the world is not a global community, but an arena where nations, non-governmental actors, and businesses engage and compete for advantage. David Brooks wrote this about Trump's worldview. The error is that it misunderstands what drives human action. Of course, people are driven by selfish motivations, but they are also motivated by another set of drives for solidarity, love, and moral fulfillment that are equally and sometimes more powerful. In other words, we are driven toward community, a community that is not unraveling. In our spirit, our souls, there is an innate sense of hope. Most of us are aware of the need to keep a balance between our selfish motivations and our motivations for solidarity, love, and moral fulfillment. Our religion helps ground us in this balance. Macy and Johnstone have a diagram of concentric circles in their book, and they have in it the individual self in the center, the family group in the next center, and so on to community, which can be church, human society, and the interdependent web of life. So let's look at routine versus randomness with a beginner's mind. Let's break things down into pieces and see if we can find small ways to stop this unraveling of our society, starting with our church community. It is almost inevitable that before things begin to improve, we will see more terrorism, we will see bullying, we will see decisions that go against the preservation of human rights and the preservation of our planet. Let's work on good acts and model compassion until good acts and compassion become the norm. Let's practice our democracy. I don't know about you, but I'm invited to hold movie parties, support candidates, and sign petitions every day. They are baby steps, but they are in the right direction. Max Hawkins finds that since he randomized his life, his bubble is now fluid and ever expanding, capturing new bubbles, other people's bubbles, and changing how he sees the world. The more you know about other people's bubbles, the less those people are others to you. What religion should be, Richard Rohr tells us, is a focus on the great mystery, even though that mystery sometimes leads us into paradox, darkness, and journeys that never cease. Right now, we may feel we are in the darkness, stuck in a world that is unraveling, stuck between our desire for the routines that connect us to ourselves and to nature, and the need for healthy, constructive ways to incorporate randomness into our lives. Embrace the challenge. Let it be a journey that never ceases. So be it, and blessed be. And our next hymn is number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
We seem to have lost our pianist.
Oh.
He just went downstairs, so maybe we should go to announcements next.
Uh-huh.
Are there any announcements?
That's a good idea, because I can't play the piano. And I'm not there either. Sure. Are there any announcements that we need to hear? No announcements?
I just want to say that we will celebrate Thanksgiving here at the church with a dinner on Thanksgiving Day in the afternoon. The details will follow, and we will be asking people to bring things, but it'll be a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. The turkey and dressing will be provided, and we'll go from there. Thank you. We'll have a sign-up sheet starting in November.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry about that, Donna. I heard the door slam, and we were all accounted for up here, and there was not supposed to be anyone downstairs. However, it turned out good that it was Pam's friend dropping some stuff off.
Okay. Okay, are you back at your piano?
Huh? I'm back.
All right.
Oh, it's number 6.
6. You got it. Just as long as I have breath.
Just as long as
I must answer yes to life. Made my way and still going each day. That's what I know. This is yes to life. Just as long as it lasts, I must answer yes to true. In my dream, in my dark, always that easy. Yes, just as long as my heart beats, my love is something that hears me through. I did best, tell them I said yes to. Our closing words this morning come to us from Burton Carley. Cheered by our community, blessed by our covenant, uplifted in mind and renewed in spirit, go forth with courage and in peace to meet the days to come. Amen. And will you join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our heart until we are together again.
from all the fret and fever of the day, let there be moments when we turn away, and deaf to all confusion, outer din, intensely listen for the voice within. We're done.
Thank you, Patty. You do a great job as pianist, and now we know you're a good protector too.
Oh, don't let them near me.
All right. Well, everyone enjoy. Have a nice Thanksgiving. I don't think I'll see you until December. I'm off on a cruise of the Mediterranean for a couple of weeks at the beginning of November. So looking forward to that. Bye now.